Today is David Pasternak's 26th birthday, and he is on track to become one of the greatest Bruins of all time. He's also one of three Bruins heading to the quarterfinals at the 2022 World Championships. Let's talk about all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Wednesday, May 25th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. The podcast is free and available on all platforms, as well as on YouTube. So please do hit that subscribe button so that you do not miss a thing. You can find the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Locked NHL Bruins, and you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. I am a lifelong Bruins fan living in Ontario, and I have been covering this team for various outlets for about 17 years now. And one of the most exciting players to come along in a long time is David Pastrnak, who turns 26 years old today. Happy birthday, Pasta. Hope you are enjoying the day. He is in Helsinki, Finland, getting ready for a quarterfinal matchup at the IIHF World Championship. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, let's start with Pastrnak and what he's accomplished so far as a member of the Boston Bruins. In his 8 years with the team, he's played 510 games, 240 goals, 264 assists for a total of 504 points, just shy of 1 point per game career average. His 240 goals put him just outside the top 10 in terms of Bruins all-time career goals scored. In fact, if he were to match his 40 goals from this past season, next season, he will move into 9th place and bump Bobby Orr out of the top 10. Bobby Orr right now, well, obviously right now, for all time, Bobby Orr sits at 264 goals. Wayne Cashman's in 9th at 277. Ken Hodge is in 8th with 289. So, Pasta sitting on 240. If he were to get his first career 50-goal season in 2022-23, he would move 1 goal ahead of Ken Hodge into 8th place, 54 behind Cam Neely for 7th. It's quite a meteoric rise for Pastrnak, who was, of course, selected 25th overall by the Bruins in 2014. It's funny because that year, I, being a resident of Ontario, specifically Guelph, I was really watching Robbie Fabry in that draft. The Storm had just won an OHL championship. I was very high on Fabry. He was selected 21st overall by the St. Louis Blues. 3 picks later, the Bruins select a relatively unknown, at that point, David Pastrnak out of Czechia, and what a selection that was. As a reminder, that was the year that Aaron Ekblad went first overall. Sam Reinhart, second. Leon Draisaitl, third. Sam Bennett, Michael Dalcole rounding out the top 5, followed by Jake Virtanen, Hayden Fleury, William Nylander, Nikolai Ehlers, and Nick Ritchie going top 10. If you were to redraft right now, it would be hard to keep Pasta out of the top 3. In fact, he would probably go second overall to Draisaitl, who has 616 points in 558 career games. Pastrnak ranks second in scoring from that draft class, well ahead of third place Sam Reinhart, who has 377 points. He's probably the best value pick from that draft, although you could argue Braden Point is up there as well. He was drafted 79th overall, and he's 4th in scoring at the moment. So the Bruins, for all the flack they get for the 2015 draft, they definitely scored the year before with David Pastrnak. Again, 24 goals behind Bobby Orr for top 10 in all-time Bruin scoring, and he's just turning 26 today. Now, of course, there are some salary cap implications to him being so good. He has been on a very team-friendly $6.67 million contract since 2017-2018. And that deal is set to expire at the end of next season. He is eligible to sign a contract extension as early as July 1st, and hopefully his agent, Don Sweeney, Cam Neely can get on the same page. But you have to think his next deal will at least be equal to Charlie McAvoy's contract extension that kicks in this season. He will be paid $9.5 million per season. You could make an argument that Pastrnak deserves to be in the 10s, but I think it will be at least in the range of a Charlie McAvoy. We're so lucky to have Pasta. You know, he started off this past season clearly in, just struggling from the tragedy that he and his partner experienced last summer with the passing of their 6-year-old son. Didn't seem to have that same juice, bon vivance, if you will. He admitted after the season that it was very tough for him, which is completely understandable. He scored 8 goals from October to New Year's, and then from there, he scored 32 to finish with his second career 40-goal season, 8 shy of his career high when he won the Richard Trophy back in 2020. We wish him continued peace, love, and it's great to see him thriving at the World Championship alongside former teammate David Krejci, and we'll get here into the latest from the World Championship in a moment. But first, a quick word about Built Bar. I love brownies, but you know what I love more? The brownie batter. Sometimes I eat half the batter just while I'm making the brownies. Imagine if you could lick that brownie spatula clean and get some protein in at the same time. Well, you're in luck, because Built has a new creation, and this one is better than ever. The Brownie Batter Puff. This puff takes protein bars to a whole new level, and they're available right now at Built.com. There's about 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, 7 grams of sugar. They're the perfect pick-me-up for any day. They're made with 100% real chocolate, and they also are infused with a collagen protein that makes your body absorb more efficiently, providing tons of health benefits. These brownie batter puffs will have you completely forgetting that you're eating a protein bar. No need to pinch yourself. This is real life. Go to Built.com, get brownie batter puffs now. and use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Thank you so much again for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NHL game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Now, yesterday on Locked On Boston Bruins, I discussed Pastrnak and Jeremy Swayman's performance at the World Championship, which is currently taking place in Helsinki, Finland. Completely gapped and forgot to mention Linus Ullmark, who is also still very much alive at this tournament. In fact, all three players representing their home countries, and they will be in the quarterfinal round, which takes place Thursday, May 26th. Pastrnak, David Krejci, their Czechia squad will take on Germany at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Time. Sweden, tough task up against Canada. And then Jeremy Swayman, Team USA, will be taking on Switzerland. The other quarterfinal will be Finland versus Slovakia. So there's a chance that we could get some Bruin on Bruin action in the semifinal round, perhaps even in the finals. But for now, each of the three players will be suiting up in separate quarterfinal games. Linus Ullmark has appeared in 2 games for Sweden. He posted a record of 1-1 with a .933 save percentage, which is pretty impressive. He is sharing the goaltending duties with, who's the other goalie in there for Magnus Hellberg and Marcus Hoberg. So Ullmark coming in with, the best pedigree and should be in net for Team Sweden in their quarterfinal round. Jeremy Swayman's been even more impressive, posting a 3-1-0 record for Team USA with a .953 save percentage and a 0.89 goals against average. You might think that would be good enough for the best numbers in the tournament. However, you would be mistaken. The top performing goaltender at this tournament is actually Finnish netminder Jussi Olkinuora, who has a 99.03 save percentage, 5 wins, and a 0.20 goals against average, 4 shutouts to his credit, which is insane. He's an undrafted goalie, 31 years old. He has played a bit in the AHL, but I'm sure some teams will give him a look after this performance at the World Championships. Finally, David Pastrnak. He's appeared in 4 games for Czechia after joining the team following Boston's first round playoff exit. He has 3 goals, 2 assists to his name in those 4 games, playing on a line with David Krejci, former Bruin, of course, and Roman Cervenka, who is second in scoring with 11 points through 7 games. Krejci coming in with 1 goal, 6 assists through 7 games this tournament. Leading scorer is Dennis Mulligan for Switzerland, and Pierre-Luc Dubois for Team Canada coming in third with 10 points. So it should be a very entertaining quarterfinal round. 3 Bruins in the mix for medals. And, it's disappointing to not win in the postseason, but being able to represent your home country and get a medal from that tournament is a nice way to cap your season, to be sure. So good luck to all three of them, and we'll be recapping what they're able to do at this tournament on Friday's episode following Thursday's action. Let's finish with some news and notes from around the NHL. On Sunday, I failed to mention that Kevin Paul Dupont in the Boston Globe speculated this could be the summer the Bruins take some bold risks to address depth at center, especially if Patrice Bergeron decides to retire. Not really a bold statement, but certainly they would have to make some bold swings in order to fill Bergeron's spot and Krejci's spot. He still, you could argue, had not been adequately replaced. KPD suggests Colorado's Nazem Kadri, Florida's Claude Giroux, Pittsburgh's Evgeny Malkin as options. All three will be available, or could be available, this summer as unrestricted free agents. The best fit could be Kadri, 31-year-old, 87 points this past season. Dupont felt it's almost unfathomable that the ex-Maple Leaf would be considered for the Bruins center position, considering his history in the playoffs, being suspended twice while playing for Toronto. But if the price is right, it would be a wise hockey decision. I think he would fit in quite well as a member of the Boston Bruins, and fans, it's not unheard of that a hated player joins your team and you begin to love him because the things you don't like about him as a player are what endears him to the home crowd. Again, there's been a lot of talk over the past couple of days about the racism that he has faced, and I would like to think that he would be welcomed in Boston. I certainly would like to see him as a Bruin, if the price is right, of course. He is 31, and you don't want to overpay for a guy at that point in his career. KPD also mentioned Jake DeBrusk, Brendan Carlo could be used as trade chips. He suggested perhaps acquiring Kirby Dack from the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm still on the Dylan Strome train when it comes to looking at guys from the Blackhawks. He is much more established and had a pretty fantastic season. Last night, the Edmonton Oilers taking a 3-1 series lead over the Calgary Flames, hoping that series gets extended because it's been incredible to watch. And the Carolina Hurricanes continue to not be able to win on the road as the Rangers tied that series. The Hurricanes now 0-5 on the road in this playoffs after losing 3 to the Boston Bruins. And again, going back to Kadri, his wife shared a sample of the racist threats her husband received on Instagram. The messages targeted his Lebanese Canadian heritage, his Muslim faith, and thankfully there have been some repercussions for those messages, people being held to account for that. David Perron was fined $5,000 by the league for cross-checking Kadri in Game 3. Perron also went at him with an elbow to the head after Kadri scored the second of his 3 goals in Game 3. And Game 4 of that series will go tonight. And I, for one, am rooting for the Avalanche to defeat the St. Louis Blues in this series. Sorry, Game 5 will go tonight. Colorado with a chance to eliminate the St. Louis Blues, and I, for one, would love to see it. One final note, apparently the Flyers have interviewed John Tortorella for their vacant head coach position. We all heard what the Bruins had to say about Bruce Cassidy's standing, needing some changes at the coaching level, perhaps not necessarily the coaching staff, but how the team is coached. If you're going to make a coaching change, again, if you don't interview Barry Trotz, for example, a clear, perhaps the only upgrade over Bruce Cassidy, then you're doing it wrong. So we'll continue to monitor that situation. I, for one, would still like to see them contact Mark Savard, whose Windsor Spitfires are currently in the OHL playoffs. Let's take a look at what that series is at right now. Tied 1-1. Windsor Spitfires and the Flint Firebirds. Hamilton and North Bay in the East final. Anyways, that is today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, friends. Thank you so much for taking some time to listen once again. Last night, we watched the Better Call Saul mid-season finale. No spoilers, but it was fantastic. And just one of the best shows, not just on TV right now, but probably ever. And tonight, we will probably catch the This Is Us series finale. You know, I'll admit it. I've watched every episode, and I have greatly enjoyed it, even shed a tear or two per episode. No shame in admitting that. Anyways, happy Wednesday, friends. All downhill to the weekend. It's a long weekend coming up for my friends south of the border. And tough day yesterday in America. And we just send love to all who were affected by this most recent tragedy. And just beyond words what's going on right now. Thanks again for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day.